What do you think?
That's gorgeous.
It's wild, but
yeah.
The only thing is I suspect it could be maybe a notch faster than the basic tempo for Bourré 1. That isn't the main thing.
I hope not.
Do you want to try a comparison?
No, I want to hear this one of the slower ones first. But the main thing is that it really doesn't have any change of character at all. It's it's gorgeous. It's such fun, but I don't know. You can live with that. Let's hear two.
Slide.
Hear two. This is a much loftier spirit, you know. I mean, it's not nearly as much fun.
No,
it doesn't get any sense of humor at all. But I'm not sure this second Bourré is supposed to have
Isn't as
that.
much Dixieland in this one.
Well, there's a lovely line. It's a nice sculpture. Its great plus is right there, you know, when you go back to yum, and suddenly that reassertion. On the other hand,
So horns of a dilemma in a way.
on the other hand, number one is just so absolutely delightful. Tell me what to do. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I guess it'll
Time solves all
have to be checked out with the other takes of the first Bourré.
Let's leave it. We can't go on with either of those two, you know, and they don't need.
No,
any
that's
fixes. Let's leave it and figure out when we edit what's going to happen. Okay,
Tremendous idea.
be neat.
There is something most unusual about what you do concerning recording, and which I think none of your colleagues would do the same. That is, you attend, of course, the recording sessions, but you go as far as editing, and
Yes.
you almost put the record into the cover.
I can't bear to let them go. That's really the problem. I suppose that's ego, in a way. Since I am going to set them free in the world to lead that democratic existence of which we spoke a moment ago, I want to control them up to the last minute, you know, go but behave well, etc. No, there's something more practical than that. And that is that I think that when I leave a recording session, I'm not terribly interested in knowing how the product is going to. In fact, I usually don't know how the product is going to emerge when I leave the session. I know only when I come into the editing studio, such as.
I see you haven't
one.
chosen beforehand.
Well, I have chosen in the sense that
You've
I've
rejected
covered myself. I've rejected that which is abominable, and that which is, pardon me, totally mediocre. And I have covered myself with something that is respectable and decent, and something which will not ultimately embarrass me. I know that at any given moment there is not going to be a wrong note in the principal take, because I've made sure to cover that. However, I have not at that moment nailed down the character of the piece. I have probably, it depends. Once or twice one will do something only once, and you feel that's all I have to say about it right now. That, of course, would accord very neatly with the description that most people give of you know, the great moment of my life was when I walked into the école or something or other and performed as I've never done before, you know, that sort of thing, which I don't believe in. However, I suppose there are such moments, and once in a while you will sit down at the piano and the producer will say, take one, and out will come a take one that really is a take one with no further need for supplement, you know. But for me, at any rate, the more normal procedure is that you find your way into the piece. Also, I don't bother to practice until I get there. That's part of the secret, you say. I do it on company time for the most part. And you find your way into the piece, and by the time you get to take 17, you're playing rather well quite often, you know. I jest, but only slightly.
Do you mean really that you haven't practiced the piece before you come to
No,
the
I
recording
have.
studio?
I have certainly played it through, and I have thought about it in terms of adopting a certain posture towards it. But right there, let me give you an example, which I think is germane. It is impossible for me to call up my producer and say, today we're going to record the Bach Suite in A major, which will take 20 minutes, give or take a few seconds. I can't do that for the simple reason that in my living room, which is a rather large living room, it's about 30 feet long, I nevertheless play at approximately 1/4 to 1/5 faster than I would do in any, concert hall such as the auditorium where we record in Toronto. For the simple reason that the moment I step into such an ambience, something says be expansive, feel levels of things that you can't hear in a living room with a rug on the floor and so forth and so on. Right there's a difference. A difference so great that it really influences the concept of the piece. And it would be utter folly for me to try and reproduce what I do at home, if only because I've done everything so much faster. Which makes certain problems, because I very often say, well, there's no question that we can get all of that material onto one record, and we end up having the worst possible side cuts and this sort of thing, or just taking out our work altogether because we can't get it on one record. They haven't yet learned how to make 75-minute records, sort of thing.
So actually, you let you let time come in.
Yes.
The procedure.
Absolutely.
Instead of the exceptional moment, you have time.
Precisely, and not only in the sense of elongation of tempi, but in a much more profound sense of interposing itself between then and now and hereafter. Right, and I think that's really the secret of recording. Wait a minute, maybe 7. We could cut back to 7. Go back to 7. Yeah, right. Yeah, it just might work. We've got to be out of 7 for the bar before. 7 is negative in the bar before, but maybe it's not that.
2, take 2.
It's up ahead of the insert ones. Well, that is.
Yeah, it would have to be.
It has to be. Okay. No. Same difference. Good. No, you can still afford to come ahead of it. That's fine. Okay, let me hear that last bar again. Now, tell me, can we get in on the upbeat? Would that be the easiest? Go back about 2 bars and I'll show you what I mean. Take a look at the VU here. That's tight.
Okay, that's the end.
You're on 3-2, right?
That's 3-2.
Yeah.
Do you want me to physically cut this, or do you want
Yeah,
to just
I
roll
might as
it
well
out?
take it out and put it up on the machine or something, on the wall, whatever. But you're right on the note, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and we're just going to reel it
Run
in.
it off. Right up to the top of the next note. Take right in the silence.
Okay. But it's more difficult to come back and get it. So we want to physically put that back into 7, right?
Right. Now what we're going to do is make a 5 beat insert from 7, but let's lay down 2/2 in its blanket state.
Yeah, we now have 7 going to 2/2.
Oh no, it's not. Let me hear it again. It's not bad. Well, I have to admit that's pretty good.
I like that.
So I'll give you an out on 2/2.
We need to get out.
Coming up.
Well, then we just begin to have a fairly good idea about what your recording method is. And it is largely, anyway, a substitute to your concert activity, I suppose.
Yeah, I would like to think that it's more than a substitute. It takes the place of it in the sense that it is the only means by which I play the piano for public consumption, other than possibly television, occasionally, film. But it's more than a substitute. It's not there to provide a sublimated activity of some kind. It is there to, I hope, push back another kind of frontier that the concert was not going to supply ever to any of us, I think.
This method means that you come to a studio unprejudiced psychologically.
Very unprepared. Sometimes.
Very unprepared with so many valid possible interpretations of the same work. Well, obviously this you cannot apply to any kind of music. You can apply it for Bach, for Baroque music, but would you treat any kind of music in that manner?
That's a very difficult question. I think you can. In fact, I have gone so far, and I would still go so far as to say that the only excuse nowadays for making a recording is to make the recording different than you've ever done it, different than anyone else has ever done it. I can't conceive, for instance, of doing a Beethoven sonata or Beethoven concerto or something that everyone knows, and doing it in much the way in which they know it. For the simple reason that if I set out to make a film about theology, I would have to have a standpoint at which every shot, every movement of the camera was in some way integral to what I wanted to say theologically. Consequently, it would have to be that way if I were to do the Emperor Concerto or the Appassionata Sonata or whatever. So in the sense that you bring a fresh view to whatever you're going to do, I think that's equally applicable to any repertoire. It's easier in the Baroque simply because there are not so many guidelines. You know, Bach didn't put down too many hampering restrictions, so you can fool around more and have more fun and add more ornaments and turns and trills and Nachschlagen and whatnot.